Hello and welcome. This is Marjorie Saulson, and today's edition of our Coffee and Coaching Club, 30 minutes of actionable insights to build your business communication confidence. So the subject today is something that I've heard a lot of people say to me. I hate how I sound. I don't want to make videos. I hate how I sound. Well, guess what? That is something that can be fixed. So I'd like to welcome you, and we will pop in on coaching of this. But in the meanwhile, I would like to introduce my wonderful program manager, Margaret, who will explain to any of you who are new how you can put questions or comments in for me to look at the end of my presentation. Margaret.
Hi, welcome everybody. So the simple trick is at the bottom of your Zoom screen, if you just mouse over the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll see a little thought bubble thing with Q&A. And if you click that, it will open the Q&A or question and answer box. And you can type in any question you have, and we will get to as many questions as we possibly can before the end of the session today. So there you have it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we're going to go over three key factors in improving the sound of your voice.
How did I sound right then? Did I sound okay?
You sounded perfectly fine, Margaret.
Well, thank you ever so much.
Okay, so we are really skating over the surface because this is a deep topic. However, you're going to get some really good ideas that can immediately improve the sound of your voice. And first of all, we're going to talk about your instrument. What does she mean by that? Then your pipes, and some vocal do's and don'ts. So the truth of the matter is whether you are singing or you are speaking, your body is your instrument. So what does that mean? You need to keep it in tune. What do you do? How do you do that? First of all, let me ask you, are you rested? Are you getting enough sleep? Or is this you in the morning or throughout the day? Has anybody ever said to you, or have you ever said to anybody else, you sound tired? The truth is that when you are tired, very often that fatigue can show up in your voice. Next question about the instrument. Are you drinking enough water? The rule of thumb is that you should be drinking half of your body weight in ounces of water. So if you weigh 100 pounds, you should be drinking 50 ounces of water. First of all, I won't admit what I weigh. Second of all, do I make that amount every day? No, but it's a good thing to aim for. Because the truth of the matter is that your vocal cords, commonly called vocal cords, but they're actually vocal folds, really need to be hydrated in order to be happy and function optimally. So what I wrote here for you is absolutely true, that hydrated vocal cords are happy vocal cords. So get enough sleep and drink enough water are two key things to do. Now, going on to, that's your body is your instrument. Vocal cords are often called pipes. When you hear a great singer, sometimes you say, oh, he's got great pipes, or she's got great pipes. And I think that could be because, like an organ, your vocal folds need air to function well. Air pumping through the various pipes of the organ are what cause the organ to make noise or sound, and that is the same is true for your vocal cords. So the question is, and this is really important, are you supporting your sound with what I call expanded rib cage breathing? If you don't use a lot of air going through your vocal cords as you speak, you are cutting down on the resonance of your voice. And what do I mean by expanded rib cage breathing? When people say take a deep breath, often they say you should breathe deeply enough so that your stomach expands. You take in a wonderful breath and you push out your stomach. But honestly, that doesn't really tell the story. Your lungs are protected by your rib cage, and the deeper your breath, the more your rib cage expands. So if you were to put your hands, for example, on your sides, on the sides of your rib cage, and take a deep breath, you should feel your rib cage expanding. And a very easy place to check this out is when you're lying in bed. When you take a deep breath in bed, you should feel your back pressing against the mattress, because that's part of the back of your rib cage should be expanding as well. Now, one place where your rib cage automatically expands, at least it does for me, is when you yawn. Generally speaking, when you yawn, your rib cage does expand fully. So I'd like you for a minute right now to just take a really big yawn. And when I say yawn, I don't mean just dropping your chin. I mean a yawn from the hinge. The hinge is the back of your jaw where your top and bottom teeth meet. And yawning from there, from the back of your mouth like that, is a wonderful thing to do because it gets more air, and it has the bonus of stretching out those muscles in front of your ears. So if you're somebody who has problems, by the way, with clenching your teeth a lot and whatever, I really think, and there's no scientific study I can point to prove it, but I really think that when you yawn from the hinge, you help keep your jaw relaxed. Now, this type of deep breathing has some really great bonuses that help you with the sound of your voice. First of all, you access chest resonance, which immediately improves and enriches the sound of your voice. Now, one of my former singing teachers told me when she was working with me for getting chest resonant with singing, is an easy way to test this, because I was not speaking with chest resonance, was to say my name first, what was then normal for me, and then take a deep breath and say my name. So I was saying, I'm Marjorie Saulson. I'm Marjorie Saulson. That's a good way to play around, to listen to your voice. Say your name or anything else without taking a deep breath, and then say the same thing, supporting that with the sound of your chest resonance, expanding that. And by the way, yawning does the same thing because it improves the resonating chamber of your mouth. Your mouth is also an important resonating chamber for your voice. So if you're speaking with your teeth close together like this, it cuts down on the resonance. And as you can tell, it doesn't sound so hot. The other thing is, and this is really important, if you're somebody who's always getting sore throats or laryngitis, or your voice feels tired, that's because your vocal cords are not designed to operate without the air going through them. They're like a pipe organ. They need the air to go through to make the sound. By the way, the other fringe benefit is doing this type of breathing also helps you deal with nerves, because it helps relax your body when you do that type of breathing. So we've talked now about your body as your instrument, and we've talked about your pipes and how they need air to function maximally. And by the way, I wanted to say one other thing. If you've never heard yourself recorded, probably, or the first time you ever did, you thought to yourself, that doesn't sound like me. I don't sound like that. And if you have that reaction, let me explain why that is. Because when you are speaking, you are listening to your voice from inside your head. when you are listening to a recording, you are hearing your voice from outside your head. So that is why when you listen to yourself recorded, you don't sound like yourself to yourself. So let's go on to some vocal do's and don'ts. So here's vocal do number 1. Warm up your body. This is related to the fact that when you're speaking or singing, your body is your instrument. So it really helps to relax your body. Stretching, well, you can stretch your whole body, but specifically the area of your upper body where in your chest and above where the sound is created. Roll your shoulders forwards and back and around several times because that's a place where a lot of people carry tension. And again, this is something that will help relax you before you're going to speak. And slowly roll your head in circles several times in each direction. Now, it's not a great idea, from what I've heard, to roll your head back. It's side, forward, to the other side, and then forward and to the other side. And if you're somebody with a tight neck and you get your head to one side and kind of let it hang out there a little while, that'll help relax the muscles in your neck. And yawn widely and at length. Yawning absolutely warms up your vocal, the whole space in your mouth when you are about to speak. My very first singing teacher, and I've had several, used to sing with the New York City Opera. And she mentioned that one of her fellow singers would stand backstage before any performance and spend at least 5 minutes yawning widely, opening up that space, that resonating space in his mouth, so that when he started to sing, his voice would sound as good as possible. So yawning widely and at length, and just, you can keep that yawn going and breathe in and out right through the yawn, and be stretching out your jaw so that your mouth resonance becomes available to you. And I strongly recommend that you sip water throughout the day. Lukewarm water is best. So let's go on to some vocal do number 2, and that is, I wonder when she was going to get to this part. Warm up your voice, because your voice needs a warm up too. When you go to exercise, if you are a tennis player or a runner or any type of, or you play an instrument, you know you need to warm up before you start if you want to get the best possible performance. Well, your body is your instrument, and your voice is the part of your instrument that you're going to be specifically using. So how do you warm up your voice? Hum. Going around humming is a wonderful thing to do. Talking quietly, notice quietly, helps warm up your voice. Also singing vowel sounds at a low to moderate volume. Ooh, ah, ee, eh. And by the way, it doesn't matter whether you can carry a tune or not. You just do it. The other thing you can do is, and this is really helpful, listen intentionally to text that you then repeat slowly and clearly. This helps you not only warm up your voice, but it helps you improve your enunciation and pronunciation so that you can be a more easily understood speaker. And wake up your lips with tongue twisters. So what kind of tongue twisters? I mean, we all grew up, most of us, with Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, so forth, da, 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 da. But here's some you may not have run across. Say these with me. 33 thirsty, thundering thoroughbreds, thumped Theo Thurber on Thursday. The th sound is one that people, especially people who are learning English as a foreign language, have trouble with because it's not a common sound in any other language that I know of. So let's say that together. If you're feeling brave, say it along with me. 33 thirsty, thundering thoroughbreds thumped Theo Thurber on Thursday. And the goal is to keep working on that until you can do 33 thirsty, thundering thoroughbreds thump Theo Thurber on Thursday. And that helps you warm up your lips and helps you with your enunciation. Let's try another one. Oh, this is this one I confess, this one still sometimes gives me trouble. Lots of little London lamplighters lit lots of little London lamps. Okay, everybody, feeling brave? Let's do it. Lots of little London lamplighters lit lots of little London lamps. And the idea is to get all those L's pronounced really clearly. Lots of little London lamplighters lit lots of little London lamps. And by the way, when you do that a few times, you really get an idea of where your tongue is when you say all those L's. Now, I'm not sure I'm going to risk, well, I'll risk doing this one quickly. Lots of little London lamplighters lit lots of little London lamps. Woo, I did it, yay. Okay, here's another one. 6 sleek swans swam swiftly southward. I had trouble with that word swiftly. And these are ways of really waking up your voice and practicing clear enunciation. 6 sleek swans swam swiftly southward. Actually, I find that harder than the thundering thoroughbreds. 6 sleek swans swam swiftly southward. That's about as fast as I can do that one. And the final one, which helps not so much on consonants, but on vowels. 11 benevolent elephants. I'm so glad they're nice. 11 benevolent elephants. Try that. 11 benevolent elephants. Okay, so now let's go into some vocal don'ts. These are things to avoid if you really want to have, protect your voice, protect those wonderful pipes. Don't yell. It's really bad for your vocal folds. It puts huge stress on them. If by any chance you ever have to do it, take a huge breath to support the sound so that you are not putting all the stress on your vocal folds. Don't smoke. Dries you out. Terrible for your voice. You've heard of smoker's cough? And honestly, I have to tell you, I really think that all the anti-smoking ads have got it all wrong. Nobody thinks that they're ever going to be the one to get the cancer, the emphysema, the heart problems. I really think we should talk about how you get wrinkles and your breath smells and your hair smells and your clothes smell. Ugh. Think about the vanity. Because none of us think we'll ever get whatever it is that cigarettes cause. Enough of that. Avoid ice water. Cold, real cold water is not good for your vocal folds. And it's interesting because here I live in Michigan, and even in the middle of winter, automatically when you go to a restaurant, they give you ice water. All this ice floating around, and there you are in cold weather. So I have gotten to the point where I always please give me water without ice. Now, 2 things happen. Half the time the waiter or waitress forgets because they're so used to adding ice to water, or they give me water that had ice and it's cold anyway, but it's still better than having the ice. So I let it sit there and warm up a little. Avoid talking over a loud TV, over loud music, across rooms, in a crowded room, yelling at one person from one room to the other. If you live with somebody who's hard of hearing, what I suggest you do is you get right in front of that person Take a big, deep breath to support your voice, the sound of your voice, and then speak slowly and clearly. And that will help you avoid yelling. And avoid cough drops with drying properties. Now, this is going to blow your mind when I tell you which drying properties to avoid, because it is very hard to find cough drops without them. And they advertise them as wonderful for your voice. What am I talking about? Menthol and eucalyptus. They dry out your vocal folds. And it's really hard to find cough drops that don't have them. I go online and order the cough drops from Young Living, the Thieves cough drops, because they don't have menthol and eucalyptus. So protect your voice. If you find that your throat is getting dry all the time, be sipping water throughout the day. The other thing you can do when your mouth is dry, and this is a wonderful trick, because one of the things that happens, one of the ways I feel nervous before I'm going to talk, and everybody feels nervous. I don't want you to ever think you can avoid that entirely. My mouth gets dry when I feel nervous. And one of the things I learned when I was studying voice acting is that when you rub your tongue on the roof of your mouth, you get the saliva going. Try it. It's a wonderful trick. So when you don't have water, when you don't have a cough drop, or the only thing is available is one that has menthol or eucalyptus, try that. Now I'm about to sip some water because my throat is drying out. So we've been going over 3 key factors that are helpful to improve the sound of your voice. First of all, we talked about the fact that your body is your instrument. You need to keep it in tune by getting enough rest and drinking enough water. By the time you feel thirsty, you are already dehydrated. And by the way, sometimes when you think you're feeling hungry, what you're really feeling is thirsty. Drink something first, and you'll see maybe if you don't need the food. We talked about your vocal cords, your vocal folds as pipes, and the fact that they need air to function well and to improve the sound of your voice, to give you that chest resonance that really enriches the tone of your voice. And we talked about some do's and don'ts, the most surprising of which I'm sure is that bit about the menthol and the eucalyptus and cough drops. So.
Nope, it was the ice water.
Oh, okay.
For me, that's the one that surprised me. No, ice water, what?
Yes, so now that we've talked about how you sound, our next Coffee and Coaching Club meeting is about feeling comfortable on video, how to look your best on videos in Zoom. And we are on those more and more and more and more. And so how do you look your best on those situations? You want to sound your best and you want to look your best. So that's the topic of our next Coffee and Coaching Club meeting. And you can register for that at coffeeandcoaching.club. The other thing I invite you to do is to take advantage of my complimentary communication confidence assessment. One of the things that I believe is you cannot solve a problem until you figure out what it is. So if you are having some type of issue with communication, some area where you don't feel comfortable, and you're not quite sure where you need to focus your efforts, I invite you to go to vibrantvocalpower.com/CCA, abbreviation for Communication Confidence Assessment. Because one of the things that I have come to believe is everybody says public speaking, is number 1 on the list of fears. And most everybody thinks of public speaking as giving a speech. I think of it as any time you talk to somebody other than yourself. So your public speaking issue might not be giving speeches. It might be networking. It might be talking on the phone. It might be dealing with difficult people. It might be handling questions when you don't know the answer. It's all kinds of things and all kinds of situations. So that is what I invite you to do. And I am going to give you a bribe because every month I'm going to pick one of the people who has filled that out and email you, ask you for your mailing address so that I can send you a copy of my international best-selling book, Empowering Business Owners to Overcome Speaking Fears, whether you're talking with one person or 1,000. And again, that URL is vibrantvocalpower.com/CCA. So, Margaret, what have you got for me in terms of Q&A from our audience?
I have a killer question here.
Ooh.
So let me give you the softball first, though, and then we'll go to the killer question. Yoga breathing. Even though I don't do the moves, it seems like yoga breathing would be good when I'm speaking too. Do you agree?
Absolutely, absolutely. If you have done any yoga breathing, you are way ahead of the game because the breath is such an important part of yoga practice. And so if you've been doing that, even without the down-facing dog or the whatever the postures are,
Downward
absolutely.
facing dog, yeah.
Whatever.
Down, yeah.
That is a yoga posture, isn't it? I haven't done yoga in years. But
Downward facing dog, yes.
Okay, all right. So whether or not you're doing yoga as a practice, the breathing is wonderful. Downward facing dog. All right.
No, it's downward dog. I don't do it either, but okay. All right, here's I love this question. How do I learn to project my voice? Or does all this do that?
Actually, the breathing and supporting your voice with breath is a wonderful way to improve the projection of your voice. Now, there's a lot of other things involved. Certain languages, for example, take place toward the back of your throat, and some are pronounced in the middle of your mouth, and some in the forward part. For example, German is a very guttural language. If you're a native German speaker, you are going to have more problems projecting your voice than if you're Italian, because the Italian language is spoken right at the front of your mouth and head. And that's my theory why there are so many great Italian singers. I mean, even people who've had no singing training can sing well because their voice is placed perfectly for good projection. Now, my voice as an American was placed somewhere in the middle of my head. And a lot of my work with my singing teachers, various teachers over the years, was learning to project my voice forward. One of the letters, by the way, one of the consonants that is always pronounced forward is the letter M. So if you've ever seen these jokes of warm up, me, humming, getting that M sound helps get your voice forward as well. But supporting your voice with the breath is a great leap forward in projecting your voice. And the other thing is, as you are speaking, think in terms, say you're in a room, think in terms of talking to the person at the back of the room, not yelling, but talking. One of the things they said about the late great actor Richard Burton, when he was playing on Broadway, and this was before they had microphones for any of the actors, is that you could hear his whisper in the back row of the balcony. That's how well he projected his voice. So it's possible to do.
Yeah, you can even feel it. For me, the further back I can feel it, the more I project. Interesting. Somebody wants to know, Tracy wants to know, is hot tea more helpful than warm tea?
I like warm. I really think that extremes of hot and cold are really not wonderful for your vocal folds. They like warm is wonderful. That's what I'm drinking right now, Tracy.
Okay. Well, and I know we're at time, Marjorie, so back to you.
So thank you very much for joining me. Once again, I invite you to sign up for my complimentary assessment on the communication confidence assessment, and to join me at our next Coffee and Coaching Club meeting, where we're going to be looking at how you look on videos and Zoom.
Hey, Marjorie.
Yes.
Somebody, just a quickie here, is coffee bad for your voice? Somebody,
well,
Dee Dee's asking.
Well, coffee, I'm not a big coffee drinker. The one thing I know about coffee and caffeine dehydrates you. So in the sense that it helps cut down on the dehydration of your body. If you're somebody who needs that 1 cup of joe to get started in the morning, I would say go for it. But I would think drinking it all day is counterproductive.
Okay. Thanks for getting that one in.
Glad to do that. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will look forward to seeing you. And by the way, when you get to the sign-up page, I am gradually getting prior presentations up on my YouTube channel. And when you go to coffeeandcoaching.club and scroll to the bottom, you will see a link to get there. So that is for those. People keep asking me, are you going to record this? Where can I get the recording? So that's where you can get them eventually. Thank you for joining me. See you next time.